Hello students, I hope you all are doing well. I would like to welcome you on online page of Shikhavati International Academy Seeker. This is Manoj Kumar and today this chapter is for 10th class from the book of Footprint Without Feet, and today we are going to start a new chapter, that is a triumph of surgery. This is the first chapter of this book. Here, my dear students, before starting the chapter, I would like to talk about a few points about the writer of the story, who had written this story, A Triumph of Surgery. Here, his main character, the main narrator, is James. Here, James is heroid in this chapter, the name of the author, but his actually name is Jem Alford, and he had worked in October in 1916 to 1995. His pen name is James Heroid, was a British veterinary surgeon, as well as he was also a writer. So my dear students, as you have come across by the name and about his work, his main work is he is a vet. Vet means a veterinary doctor who is a doctor of animals. As well as he has another hobby, he has another passion for writing. So he works two professions at the same time. So whatever his experience with the animals, with the any type of creatures, he just, if something is interesting, he just write in his format, and that we really love it. So here his 2-3 works I know that which are so beautiful. First is Animal and Their Honors. That is the name of the short story, Animal with Their Honors. And famous work was If Only They Could Talk in 1970. That story was released. And after that, James is best known for his semi-autobiography story of animals. So he used to write semi-autobiography, a small life story of a particular animal. So here in the same story, there is a dog. In this story, there is an animal, and this is a pet who is by name Tricky. So before starting the explanation of Tricky about this chapter, let me go through with the title. The title is A Triumph of Surgery. A triumph means, my dear students, successful achievements. So here surgery, you know very well, surgery means this is the work of doctor. They do a surgery, they do operation, that is called surgery. So here there is an operation where somebody had got achievement, somebody had got successfully done his work. So here but actually there is no practically surgery is there by the Caesar, by many equipments which doctors generally keep with them. That is not type of surgery. A surgery which is done in a very nice way, without hurting, without cutting a scissor, or without cutting a blade on any part of the body of the dog. So here before going to start the explanation, just read this paragraph. Tricky, a small dog, is pampered. Pampered means he was got too much love and overfed by his rich mistress. Mistress, my dear student, mistress is mean that those people who are very rich, especially ladies. Mister is known for men and mistress is known for ladies. And here in British, that is said, those who are very rich, those women who are very rich, they are known as mistress. So here the Tricky, who was pampered, who was loved by his mistress, his owner, and she also used to give him too much food. Now here, that overfed by his rich mistress. Overfed means give him too much food. He falls seriously ill, and his mistress consult a veterinary surgeon. Does he perform an operation? Does his dog recover? So as the dog was ill, so she had a contact with the doctor, a veterinary doctor, and what she had done, what the doctor had done, some operation, or the doctor by himself, the dog by himself recovered. So here, first of all, go through by the question answer. Why is Mrs. Pamphily worried about Ricky? The first question is that we have to find out the answer, as well as what does she do to help him. Is she wise in this? What does she do to help him? If the dog get ill, if the dog get sick, what was the process which Mrs. Pamphily had done? So Mrs. Pamphily, the owner of the dog, that the mistress, the name of the mistress was Mrs. Pamphily. So whatever the treatment she had given by herself to the dog, was she is wise in this? Wise means what do you think? That is the intelligent woman. She was the intelligent woman, that she had treated this dog by herself. Who does I refer in the story? Yes, I. Who is I? So I is a narrator by himself, who is a veterinary dog as well as a writer. So I was really worried about Ricky this time. I had pulled up my car when I saw him in the street with his mistress, and I was shocked at his appearance. Now, the doctor was the veterinary doctor. He was traveling by his car, and suddenly what he saw that the Tricky was on the road, and Tricky was being driven by his mistress, Mrs. Pamphily. And the doctor was so shocked. I was so shocked by looking at the appearance, about the outer appearance, about the outer body. He was shocked. He was blunt by his appearance. He had become hugely fat. That's why he became shocked. Who got shocked? The doctor got shocked. Like a bloated soldier with a lead at each corner, his eyes bloodshot and Remy stayed straight ahead, and his tongue lolled from his jaw. Now here, first the doctor observed that the Tricky becomes so fatty, and it looks like a sausage. A sausage is a kind of a meal, a kind of a food which generally famous in the English country, and which is generally people love to eat, especially dogs. Here, the sausage seems like a very fluffy, very thick, and it has a 4 legs. At same kind of the dog was pretending, and his eyes. How his eyes were? His eyes were bloodshot. The eyes were looking so in red color, as well as his Remy. Remy means there was a water coming outside from his nose, and he was looking straight ahead, and his tongue lolled from his jaws. His tongue was outside from his jaw. So that was the symptoms which shows that the dog was really ill, and the dog name is Tricky. Mrs. Pamphily hastened to explain. He was so listless, Mr. Harroyd. Now, when Mrs. Pamphily saw the doctor, she fastly came towards the doctor and said him that he was so listless. Listless means so tired, so ill. Mr. Harroyd. So who is I here? Mr. Harroyd is I. He seemed to have no energy. I thought he must be suffering from malnutrition. The owner of the dog, the owner of Tricky, Mrs. Pamphily, said to veterinary doctor Mr. Harroyd. She explained that actually he seemed to have no energy. I thought he must be suffering from malnutrition. So what happened? One day, in last couple of days, he was looking so tired. He was looking so energyless. So I thought, Mrs. Pamphily thought that my dog is suffering from hunger. My dog is suffering from starvation. Malnutrition, my dear, meaning is kuposhan. Let me give you example. What is the actual meaning of malnutrition that you come to know in your mind? You have seen many poor country in Africa. There many small childs who are deprived from the privilege of life, from the desire of life. They are at the corner, a dark corner of this world. They do not have basic things. Even they do not have proper food. Even they have food, there is nothing in it. those people who suffer from malnutrition, in those people who have not followed the proper nutrition in their diet, especially if a person is only eating chapati, then he is only eating the carbohydrates, only a carbohydrates requirement is going to fulfill. But our body required number of various nutrition like vitamins, we need iron, we need zinc, we need minerals, protein. There are various things which our body require to function proper. And those people who are not having proper nutrition in their diet, suddenly they have been converted into very different appearance. Their figure becomes totally disfigured. Especially in African country, you have seen many small children, they are very thin, they are very weak, but their stomach becomes so fatty, so it doesn't mean that they eating too much. This is just because of they are suffering from the malnutrition. A kuposhan, there is a less quantity, there is a very less quantity of nutrition in the body. That's why the people suffer from malnutrition. And now Mrs. Pamphry realized that my dog is so listless, my dog is so tired, he is energyless. So that's why she thought that like my dog is suffering from malnutrition. So I have been giving him some little extra between meals to build him up. Some malt and cod liver oil and a ball of Horlicks at night to make him sleep. Nothing much really. Now here, as what she had added some nutrition. She had added some fruitful supplements which would be beneficial for the dog health. So whatever the dog diet, she added something little bit extra supplement to build him or give him more energy. So what she started giving him, some malt means joe, and cod liver oil. Cod liver oil, a kind of a mineral kind of an oil which is taken from the fish body. This is a kind of a oil which is taken from the fish body parts. And a ball of Horlicks, and the Horlicks you all know aware about it, that this is a kind of a meal, this is a kind of a supplement which is generally given to the children who are to make them more stronger, to make their mind strong, make their mind sharp. So such type of things she started giving him every day. Nothing much really. But let me tell you who takes cod liver oil. Cod liver oil is a kind of a supplement which is taken by the bodybuilder who are in the field of weightlifting, and they need more stamina, they need more power, they need more energy. So she had heard somewhere that cod liver oil are very beneficial for the body, especially for growing muscles, growing power. So she thought that my dog is also suffering from that he is out of energy. So she started giving him human drugs, human supplements to animal. First of all, you need to understand, dear students, one thing, that the cod liver oil and malt and especially a ball of Horlicks, such three things are only for humans. These are made for the parts of humans that our body can digest. But for animals, the different supplements, different food items are made. And if we eat the food of animals, the drugs, especially drugs of animals, if we eat, definitely we will get some trouble. The same thing happening with it. The dog was not doing well. He was becoming more and more ill by having this contentful diet, which is not beneficial for his body. So in next paragraph, so my dear students, what is the reason of the tricky to get ill? So you have to get the answer. You know the answer, that this was the reason, sir. That the owner of the dog, the owner of the tricky, Mrs. Pamphry, started giving him, as she observed that the dog was suffering from malnutrition, as the dog was suffering from the no energy, listless. So she thought that the dog was suffering from malnutrition. So she started giving him malt, cod liver oil, and Horlicks, a ball of Horlicks, to make him healthy, to make his body uplift. So now here in the next paragraph, Mrs. Pamphry hastened to explain. Mrs. Pamphry hastened to explain. We have done it. And did you cut down on the sweet things as I told you? And the doctor asked her, have you cut down? Have you stopped giving him the advice which I told him? Have you stopped giving him such type of foods which I told you not to give next time? Oh, I did for a bit. For a small period of time, I followed your suggestion, I followed your guidelines. But he seemed to be so weak, I had to relent. Relent means soft. Relent means get flirted and get soft by the condition. As for few period of time, for some period of time, the dog was constant on a particular diet. But after that, what she observed, the dog was getting so weaker and weaker. So she started again giving him those things which are banned, which are restricted by the doctor. He does love cream cake and chocolate, so I can't bear to refuse him. Mrs. Pamphry was telling to doctor that, my dear, the Tricky was so happy to eat cream cake and as well as chocolates. So I cannot ignore, I cannot refuse a such type of meal not to give him, because he becomes so happy, he becomes so energetic, he becomes so joyful when he eats his favorite part of meal. And that's why when he feel happy, I also feel happy. So I had to be relent, I had to be soft towards his restricted diet, and I start giving him again cream cakes and chocolates. So here, my dear students, first of all, you know that if you are having pets, especially dogs, then you know that we avoid giving him giving him food which are made of sugar, because sugar is not healthy, sugar is not good for their body. Sugar gets them many trouble. The sugar can take these animals into some problem, especially they started falling hair and many other problems they started suffering from. So this was the reasons he said that. I looked down again at the little dog. Who is I here? Mr. Harriot, who is by profession veterinary doctor. So the doctor looked at the dog. That was the trouble. Tricky only fault was greed. Now the doctor said that there is only one reason. Due to this reason, the dog is suffering from this problem, that he is so hungry. He is a very starving type of dog. He had never been known to refuse food. He would tackle a meal at any force of the day or night, any hours of the day or night. So the doctor is saying that he is a such type of animal, he is such type of dog who is always pursuing behind the food, who is always ready to contain the food. Even in an hour he can eat 4 time meals. He can eat anytime. He can eat while he was sleeping, while he was working, while he was at the exercise time, while he was at the relaxing mode. Each and every time he can eat. He was never taught to refuse any food. As we teach our dogs, our pets, that this is the, like, in the whole day the dog would get only 2 time meals, in morning, at night. In the evening he would be getting some little bit starters or little bit some calcium type of drugs or some supplements where he can build up his internal power, but not to every time we give them something to eat. So this was also a mistake of Tricky as well, as because he is so hungry, and the Mrs. Pamphry who has never taught him to refuse some food. to learn this habit to refuse food, because when you first you have already eaten and then somebody ask for food, somebody offer you food, then you have to deny it, you have to refuse such type of offer. Now moving to next, and I wondered about that all the things Mrs. Pamphry had not mentioned, and I also worried about that some things she had mentioned, she had declared, she had disclosed with me, but there are many things which she didn't talk to me. So the doctor asking the next question is, are you giving him plenty of exercise? Because we all know that exercise is very crucial part, not only for animals but also for human, to make healthy our body. So what was the reply of Mrs. Pamphry? Well, he has the little walks with me, as you can see. Now they are both are standing on the road, and the Tricky was lying on the road, and you can see that little bit exercise which I can bear, I'm giving to him. But Hodkin, the gardener means the Hodkin is a person, a servant who was working as a gardener in her garden, has been down with lumbago, has been ill, that the gardener was sick due to the lumbago. Lumbago means backache, the pain in the back. So there has been no ring throwing lately. So there is nobody who can throw the ring and the dog can catch it. So you know that such type of games, such type of sports which generally dog owners, the pet owners play with their loved ones. So there is no one who can throw the ring. A round shape of plate, a plate type of a ring is there, which generally owner throw in the air. The dog runs behind it to catch it to bite it by its mouth. So such type of person is not here once the gardener has suffer from the lumbago. My dear students, so this is the first page we have completed. Moving to next page. So you could see the image of this Tricky. Now here, who was bounded, who was fastened in the belt, neck belt, it is Tricky, who you could also see that his tongue is outside from his jaw, and Mrs. Pamphry, who is in nice skirt and coat, and the doctor who is in the coat pant, and there is just beside the doctor there is a car of himself. Now here they both are discussing with each other. Mrs. Pamphry was telling him that I thought that he is so listless, he is getting less of energy, so she thought that that her dog was suffering from the malnutrition, and I started giving him number of things. So all the conversation was going between both of them. I tried to sound several. Now I really mean that if you don't cut his food right down and give him more exercise, he is going to be really ill. You must harden your heart and keep him on very strict diet. As the doctor was saying that I tried to sound several, means I'm trying to make my level of tone, level of sound little bit lower, little bit soft. But right now I have to be little bit harder, because it is my warning. Earlier I was giving you suggestion, but this is the warning. If you don't cut food right down and give him more food, exercise, he is going to be really ill. And if you are not giving him food and giving him more exercise, then definitely he is going to get more worse. The condition of the dog become more and more critical. So you must harden to keep this dog on a strict diet. Only the diet can make this dog healthy and well. Now in the next paragraph, what is the reaction? Mrs. Pamphry wrung her hands. Wrung means just rub her hands. Oh, I will, Mr. Thyroid. I'm sure you are right, but it is so difficult, so very difficult. So she set off, head down along the road, as if determined to put the new regime into practice immediately. Regime means, my dear students, rule. So as they both become apart from each other, there was some promise made by Mrs. Pamphry in this way that from today itself she had taken an oath. She had under the influence that she had to maintain her pamperness, she had to maintain her closeness with the dog, and control on her emotions and keep this dog on the strict diet, as she was pretending in this way, as she left the way in this way of manner. I watched their progress with growing concern, as he was as doctor, especially family doctor of the family, or Mrs. Pamphry. Whenever there any dogs, any pets get ill, so he is the only person who recommended the medicines, all the treatment, everything. Tricky was tottering along in his little tweed coat. That the Tricky, you could see that he was that is the coat. He was getting struggle in this coat, because earlier when he was thin, now he becomes so thick, so fatty, so fluffy. When he was thin, such type of coats wore him to make looks nicer, to make look new. But now he in this, as the clothes, as his own curtains on piece of clothes becoming so tighter, and he is getting struggle while walking, while taking breathe, everything. He had a whole wardrobe of these coats for the cold weather and a raincoat for the wet days. So here the writer, the narrator, the doctor, Mr. Heroid, who is trying to tell us that there is a proper wardrobe is made. A proper almirah is placed in his personal room, where there are variety of coats, there are variety of things of the dog, especially of like house coat, raincoat, and for the wet days he struggled on dropping in his harness, and he was just losing his whole body weight on his small feet. I thought it wouldn't be long before I heard from Mrs. Pamphry. As I heard something, whatever the Mrs. Pamphry told me, I was considering in my mind that this dog will not live more, because this is the ending time, this is the last stage where the dog can bear such type of problems, such type of suffering. The expected call came within a few days, and after a few days, what was happening? Mrs. Heroid, Mrs. James Heroid had a call, and it was an expected call. Expected means that there is a call about to come, there is a call about to ring. He knew about it, and where this call is coming from? This call will come from Mrs. Pamphry house. Why? Because he knew that the dog is going to get more and more ill, more and more worse. So in these conditions, he would definitely contact me. So Mrs. Pamphry was distraught. Distraught means very disturbed. Tricky would eat nothing, refused even his favorite dish, and beside, he had bouts of vomiting. He spent all his time lying on the rug. Rug means carpet. Panting means having a lay position or resting position. He didn't want to go for walks. Didn't want to do anything. So here, Mrs. Pamphry was taking that he had started refusing all the eatable things. Now he is continuously lying on the market, on the blanket, on the mat, just not moving from here and there. And he didn't want to go for walk, and his interest is become less, his interest become zero in other things. Here, when this was the cause told by the Mrs. Pamphry, the reaction was of doctor was, I had made my plans in advance. The only way was to get Tricky out of the house for a period. I suggested that he should be. He be means in between he and be there is a should. He should be hospitalized for a fortnight to be kept under observation. My dear students, fortnight means fortnight, not fortnight. The doctor suggested that you have to keep this doctor. You have to transfer this doctor into a hospital where he can be kept under the observation. So fortnight is a day, a time period of 15 days. But I took a firm line. No, before this, what the paragraph does not list the paragraph, the last but not the least paragraph. The poor lady almost swooned. Swoon means become unconscious. She just distracted. She just lost in her own world. Tricky was very ill. Sorry. Tricky was very ill, and this was the only way to save him. In fact, I thought it best to take him without delay. So, as the Mrs. Pamphry told to doctor that dear doctor, the Tricky would not live without me. As if he live without me, he is going to die. So, but the doctor was so strict on his words. The doctor suggested that if you want to keep this dog alive, then you have to leave this dog for a while in the observation in the hospital without delay. Followed by Mrs. Pamphry willing. Willing means, my dear students, desire. I marched out to the car and carrying a little dog wrapped in a blanket. So I found the dog and I covered this dog under the blanket. And the entire staff was rushed in and out, bringing his day bed. And what the doctor found, when the doctor found that when he was bringing the dog into the car, what happened? All the workers, all the servants were wandering here and there, and bringing many things of Tricky in and putting into the car. What was the things they were finding? What they were bringing? They were bringing his day bed. That in the night there is a different bed of Tricky, and in the daytime there is a different bed of Tricky. His night bed, favorite cushion, a cover of pillows, toys and rubber rings, breakfast bowl, lunch bowls and supper bowls. So there are three type of bowls. In the breakfast bowl is different, lunch type is different, and supper bowl is different. I started to drive away. As I moved off, Mrs. Pamphry realizing that, I have left 1-2 line from here. Realizing that my car would never hold all the stuffs, I started to drive away. As I moved off, Mrs. Pamphry with a despairing cry, with a sob cry, threw an armful of little coats through the window. I looked in the mirror before I turned the corner of the drive, everywhere in tears. So what I was thinking, what I saw, that once everything was stored, everything was captured in my car, I found that the Tricky was going into a hospital or for the observation, for the treatment, or is he going for a honeymoon or going for traveling, for visiting or adventure, doing such type of activity. So he was very shocked, and suddenly he found in his rear glass, in his side glass of the window, that Mrs. Pamphry was throwing something outside from the window. What she was throwing? There was an armpit, there was a small coat of Tricky. She was throwing in a manner of crying a lot. And he also found that everybody who were in this house were in tears. Especially servants, all things. Now the last paragraph. Out on the road, I glanced down at the pathetic little animal gasping on the seat by my side. Pathetic means dirty animal, bad animals. So on the way of going my hospital, what I did, I looked at the dog. It was so dirty, it looked so disgusting at first sight. I patted his head, and Tricky made a brave effort to wag his tail. And when I rub my hand on the head of the Tricky just moved his tail in a flattery way. That, my dear student, the meaning of sorry wag means in a way of flattery. Poor old lad is boy. So how how soft dog is it, how what could I say, the exact word is not coming in my mind, that poor, how lovely, how genuine this dog was, who had been trained very wrongly. You haven't a kick in your butt, I think I know a cure for you. You haven't a kick in you, that in meaning of that, right now I don't have any process thought in my mind that what type of operation I will go with it, but I know that how you can be cured, how can you be recovered. So this is the first part of the chapter. Now let's go with the last question answer of this chapter. Now here of this part, why is Mrs. Pamphry worried about Ricky? Mrs. Pamphry was worried about Ricky because he had left eating foods and continuously sleeping on the couch, on the mat, and whenever she is offering food, he every time deny. And she found also that the dog was become so listless, not moving, and continuously sitting on that mat. So that was the reason she becoming worried. What does she do to help him? Is she wise in this? When Mrs. Pamphry found that her dog, her baby, her child, you can say that her boy is not going well, and she found that the dog is suffering from something malnutrition, so she started giving him malt, cold liver oil, and a bowl of Horlicks. And is she wise in this? No. She is not perfectly wise in it, because such type of food items are made only for humans, not for only animals. So who does I refer into in this story? I, as I have told you, the I is the author, the writer of this whole story, Mr. Harold. So my dear students, you have to keep this thing in your mind. So I hope the next second part we will come very soon with the new question answer, some extra question answer. So till then, stay happy, stay blessed, and God always keep mercy on you, my dear students. And thank you. Have a nice day.